Greetings, folks. This Sunday, of course, is the first Sunday of Lent. And I really hope that we all, and I'm including myself in this whole thing, and Father Patrick,
that's right.
I hope we have a good Lent. Although I'm going to be 70 this year.
Wow.
That means I'm absolved from what? Doing all these hard fasts and stuff like that. But I still think I need to do something for
a little fast.
My maybe eat less instead of like a pig. Okay,
That's right.
I tend to do that, right?
Celebrate your birthday. Move it to Sunday.
Move everything to Sunday.
That's right.
Yeah. So, anyways, so when you think of Lent, we often think of, what we can do to mortify our flesh. Okay, and certainly in the temptation narrative, Jesus, he wanted to get to Jesus through his belly, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and we should live not by our senses and reason. The life of faith is living from the inside out, from the spirit. That's gives us self-control and things. Because when you're out of control, you're living in a state of sin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So, anyways, we do have to deal with our own penchant to sin, but I think that's something, the Father, that I think we don't really pay too much attention. That's the influence of Satan in our lives, evil spirits.
We don't see it, and in some ways we don't see the good angels either, right? We walk into church, we don't perceive the battle all around us, but sometimes we perceive the battle within us. I guess, and so Lent is a privileged time to more intentionally and really more intensely work on our relationship with God, with our neighbor, and with ourselves.
Perfect.
And so we have prayer to work on our relationship with God, almsgiving to work on our relationship with our neighbor,
right,
and fasting to work on that relationship with ourselves, to try to maybe for lack of a better term, beating our passions into submission. Trying to, if we can't rightly order, we can at least try to control our intake of food or media or all the things that distract us, and even good things that take our time, but trying to put everything in moderation, trying to exercise restraint.
Well, yeah, it's good. Now, but we have this devil. Okay, we have to believe that there really is a devil, and the devil doesn't really show himself. If he did, we'd all run away from him, right? So his biggest trick is being incognito, right? Okay, he's kind of like always in his shadows. Yeah. He doesn't really want to reveal himself, but he certainly wants to work his way in and really connect with that part of us which is fallen. Okay, now baptism, we've been renewed by the grace. We don't belong to Adam's family anymore.
Right. That's right.
Okay, that's good. But we live the family of Christ.
That's right.
But there is that old part of us, St. Paul calls it the old man, that is crucified with Christ, as Romans says, but is still sort of lingering there. And if we can let him down, and we certainly don't want to feed this, but there's that connect between Satan and our own rebellious nature. And so it's not just working with our own stuff. It's also being vigilant against evil powers and to have the discernment to know when that's happening to us, don't you think?
Yeah. And sometimes it's not, it doesn't happen in big ways all the time. It's not like possession, right? Or even, we don't necessarily feel the demons, but they've made sin look so attractive that sometimes we just so easily choose it that they don't have to work so hard to be apparent, right? And so here we are again, and you're grateful, I hope, for this time where we can begin to parse out those things in our lives, where even if they're not bad things, maybe they are occasions of temptation. Too much time on social media, or seeing others and being jealous and or envious.
Right. So we really have to guard. It's kind of like. Some mystic said, maybe St. John of the Cross, it's kind of like our soul is a port, okay? And all sorts of ships are coming in and out, right? Yeah. And we got to be aware of what ships are coming in, leaving what cargo there is on our dock, right?
That's right.
So we have to have a good doc inspection,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in there, and a good prayer, maybe like the Jesus prayer,
Oh yeah.
to fight off. Because, you know, the devil never tells us, "Oh, okay, John, I'm going to attack you tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the afternoon."
You'd be ready.
Yeah, you'd be ready.
Yeah.
He always hits you in a moment of weakness, like Jesus,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And so we really need to be vigilant about these outside influences coming into our heart.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this is where confession is really helpful. You mentioned baptism and the washing away of sin and being
Right.
made part of God's family, and some of the saints have spoken of confession as a second baptism, right? That we after baptism we mess up over and over again, and sometimes it's really bad, and sometimes not as bad. But the reality is, we need to come. We need the sacraments, and I tell people, bring whatever you have. You know, if you don't have big things, come anyway. Don't do something big just to come to confession. Bring what you have, because there is forgiveness of sins. I don't want to minimize that, but there's also grace received. And of all
Right.
7 sacraments, there are only 2 that we can receive multiple times: confession and communion. And so we all have to make use of this, you know. And,
Good.
and that helps us to, number one, when we examine our conscience, we see where we've let the old man back, let the
Right.
old man down, or shine forth, right? But then through making our confession, receiving absolution, doing penance, we begin to live the life of the new creation again. That new man is brought.
So the Catholic Church gives us a remedy for what we might say ongoing sin after baptism. Okay. In both our Baptist past, we never really had anything for ongoing
No mechanism.
sin. No, because, hey, you know, and I think maybe a lot of Catholics might think this way. Hey, Jesus paid it all. I'm good. I got, you know, I got the ticket going in,
Sure.
you know. But that's presumption, and presumption itself is a very deadly sin, because it kills our relationship with one another, and it kills our relationship
right.
with God.
Yeah.
So,
And we can say, in a sense, yeah, he paid it all, but how is that applied to us, right? You know, and we come to God on His terms, not our own. And so we don't go to confession. Some people go, and it's almost like to tell us how good they are. And think, well, that's not why we're here. Give me some of the bad stuff, right? That we come, and there's something about going in humility and acknowledging parts of ourselves that we're not proud of, and where we need to ask for help. And it's not that the priest personally has to help us through each in all of these things, but in being that instrument by which God gives us grace, and God Himself touches us in the sacrament, and so we need to come to this.
very good.
Several times
Very
a year,
good.
but it's at least during Lent.
Yeah, and it's not just for the absolution of sin, okay, as big and important as that is. But with the penance, it's meant to set us on a trajectory toward the perfection of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really the whole goal of confession. You can't understand confession without the expectation Jesus gives us: be perfect, just as your Heavenly Father is perfect.
That's right.
So it's both of those things, but you know. So, well, anyways, I'm glad you decided to come down and
absolutely
be a part of this whole thing. I think we said enough, and let's have a good Lent together. Okay, see you on Sunday. God bless.